I'm good, Hilda. How are you doing?
I am good.
Okay. You popped up on my Facebook and I was like, why is Facebook showing me this person? Now I know why. I'll send you an invite.
Okay, that'll be good.
Okay.
Okay, Madam PRO or Obeki Obeki, I think we're about 15 or
Yes, ma.
16 of us.
Yes, it's
I
time.
think, shall
Yes.
we? President,
We are 16.
President,
President is not.
Mamadu.
Yes.
President, it
Mamadu.
appears.
Mamodu, yes.
Yes.
We can
Okay,
start.
so can we start?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Yeah,
Thank you
I
very
think we
much,
can.
ma.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So,
Madam Vice Chancellor, ma. Greatest Uniben.
Greatest.
great.
Yeah, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Before I just start, let me also let you know that this meeting is being streamed live on YouTube. It's being streamed live on YouTube.
Oh.
You are all welcome to the virtual interactive meeting between the University of Benin Vice Chancellor and the University of Benin Alumni Association. This is the third in the series of virtual meetings between the Vice Chancellor and members of the Alumni Association. Today's meeting is specifically between the Vice Chancellor and representatives of the University of Benin Alumni Association, North America, Ubaana. Permit me at this junction to invite the University PRO, Dr. Benedicta Ehanire, to introduce Madam Vice Chancellor and her entourage on this meeting. Madam PRO, please.
Is she mute? We can't hear her.
Madam PRO, please.
Thank you, Dr. Obeki Obeki.
Thank you very much.
Compliments, very special compliments to our ebullient Vice Chancellor and our distinguished alumni, in particular, the Uniben Alumni Association, North America. I'm pleased to introduce to you the 10th substantive Vice Chancellor of our great university, the very dynamic, very astute administrator, an academic with exceptional candor, a trend setter, a multidisciplinary scholar, and professor of human nutrition, tourism, and hospitality. I'm talking about the very distinguished Professor Lillian Imwetinya Salami. Also in the house this afternoon, as part of the Vice Chancellor's team, are the Deputy Vice Chancellor Academic, Professor David Izeko, and the Director of ICT CRPU, Professor David Obeifu. Over now to you, Dr. Obeki Obeki.
Thank you very much, Dr. Benedicta Ehanire. At this junction, I think we'll invite the president of the Ubaana, Dr. Kingsley Momodu, to quickly introduce members of his team. Dr. Momodu, please.
Dr. Momodu, you're mute. Your microphone is mute.
Yeah. Am I good now? Am I
Yes.
good?
Yes,
Yes,
can
you're
hear
good
you.
now. You're good now.
Thank you.
Your team. Thank you
yeah.
very much.
Thank you very much, Dr. Obeki, and I also want to thank the Uniben PRO for her very generous introduction of our fantastic Vice Chancellor. I personally want to thank our Vice Chancellor, Professor Mrs. Lillian Imwetinya Salami, for making this happen. And I must say, this is the first of its kind. This is huge. This is huge. I don't want anyone to take this lightly. This tells everyone the direction we are headed. Yes. So with that, I will quickly go through and introduce the members be able to make comments because Ubaana is a big organization. So everybody can make comments. So on this call, we should have the Vice President of Ubaana, Mr. Alex Iromo, and all the executive committee members of Ubaana are supposed to be here. We have Dr. Austin Ifedira, who is representing the board of directors of Ubaana. We have Dr. Hilda Dunku. We have Professor Paulinus Chibu. We have Peter Uyo Shoria. We have Owen Ugufere. We have Debbie Waubi. We have Mike Bello. We have Osasere Osifo. We have Dr. Lawrence Adu. And we have Joy Ellen. So these people are people who are from a cross-section of the alumni community in America, in North America. Basically, like I said before, I want to thank Madam VC for our leadership, and we are grateful for the things you're doing right now. We hear what you're doing with power, with water, and we also hear that you have transformed the main gates. We are very grateful for your leadership. And this meeting, that this is happening, tells us how progressive you are. This is a very lovely meeting, but this meeting must have purpose. So I would like the panel of discussants to listen very critically, listen very critically to what Madam Vice Chancellor is going to tell us. Again, listen very critically, because we want to make this have purpose. We want purpose from this, you know? We don't want this meeting to be a meeting where we just drink Kool-Aid. Let us leave this meeting better, you know? So listen very carefully to what she's telling us, you know? Then, you know, affirm the things that resonates with the alumni community. And if there are areas, you know, where you think the vision falls short, please encourage, you know, suggest, so that she leaves here stronger, better informed, and more determined. And also, I want us to leave here better alumni, so that we can be the best we are in our advocacy for the University of Benin.
Thank you very much.
So, yeah. So with that, I'll cede the floor. So cede the mic to.
Thank you very much, Dr. Kingsley Momodu, for that brief introduction. Thank you very much. At this point, we would like to invite our delectable and digital Vice Chancellor to take the floor. Madam Vice Chancellor, ma'am.
Good evening again, and greeting from the great Uniben. I want to especially thank you for your time. I know what it is for you to find out time in a very tight schedule, because I know in America it's clock in, clock out, and then you don't have so much time. So I want to sincerely thank you, and I know that the reason why you're doing this is because you believe in your alma mater, and you also know that you have the university has invested in you, and this is probably the payback time, which you have, of course, been doing for quite some time. So I'm not oblivious of the fact that this alumni has done a lot for the university and will continue to do. But then the big question is, why this meeting today? And I will tell you why. First of all, I want to create a very cordial relationship between the University of Benin, especially management, and the Alumni Association. The reason being that it has often been said, and I know we all believe, that even the Ivy Leagues, the prestigious institutions around the world, that the reason why they are built and why they are the Ivy Leagues is because they have a strong synergy between the alumni and then the university and the institution. And so that is what I want to bring to bear during my administration. Also, I also see this as a way of sourcing and curating ideas, so that we are able to reposition the University of Benin to truly, live up to its expectation of Unibest. Another thing is I also want to use this kind of meetings to actually give you transparent updates and accounts of my stewardship to the university as time goes on. You all know that I'm only 275 days old in office. Of course, COVID-19 has ripped me of so many days. But be that as it's may, I think it will be nice for me to give an account of my stewardship so far. And also where we need to lean on you in terms of assistance, we will do that. So pretty much this is the reason why I have actually said that this meeting, we should hold this meeting, and so that you'll be better informed of your university and how you would want the university to be. So I want you after this meeting to play like a fairy godmother or godfather like that you are. What exactly and how do you want to reposition this university so that we can synergize and then go forward and then move the university where it ought to be, and not where it is right now. And I don't give any apologies or hold any apologies for that. But also, like I said, the one thing is to be able to give you transparent accountability of what I have done so far. Prior to my coming, of course, the students, there was so much unrest, negativity, publicity about University of Benin was on, the tubes, the media, everywhere, that the university actually does not have basic amenities for its students. So for me, when I came on board, the very first thing I said to council was that I would take these as emergency cases and I would run with that and be sure that we change the narrative. So as I speak to you today, to cut a long story short, University of Benin has its own dedicated light line, not used by anyone, just University of Benin. And so what that translates to is we have a minimum of, at least a minimum of 20 hours of light, full light uninterrupted. And even in cases where we have interruption, I am always informed prior to that, so that I can now tell my community that we would expect to be out for maybe 2 hours, 3 hours, as the case may be. So we've done that. When again I came on board, we have 5 commercial boreholes. Only one was functioning, and at that point, even functioning minimally. As again I speak to you, all 5 boreholes are working. And so water in University of Benin is 24/7. I can tell you that. Some of you who have had opportunity of visiting the roads, the main gate was almost becoming a perennial issue of a bad spot. It's terrible, and that is what welcomes you as you visit the university. So what I have done is I have given that out, and as you come in now, it is full tar, from the main gate to the PG school, and we're still trying to look at the other, adjoining roads so that we can extend this same facelift to all of them. For the hostels, indeed, one day, the first time I visited the hostel, I got so emotional that one of my DVC said, "Don't show the woman in you," because I actually was crying. I didn't think that students should be allowed to remain in such a place. So immediately we started palliative measures. But the fortunate thing with us is that the University of Benin became the games village for Games 2020. And so the state government took over from that. And as I speak today, more than 80% of those buildings have been renovated, the floors done. In certain cases, the roofing had been totally replaced. And so at least our students can come to hostels now and have a semblance of, or an extension of a decent home that we expect the students. I have also gone about soliciting for more hostels, because I know that of the almost 45,000 students that we have, we should actually be housing more than 90%. What we have now is less than 10%. And so I went soliciting. MPDC is coming to build a 128 hostel space for us. TED has already started building a multipurpose international hostel already on ground, and a professorial building that will house, I think, about 48 professors. So these have just started within this period, and that is because I went to Abuja and I held the third fund ES that he must immediately address these areas. So he has done that. In terms of transcript, I know that has always been a problem, especially for those of you who are in diaspora. The man who was there, had been there for 15 years. And to my, judgment, if something is not changing and you're doing the same thing and you're expecting to get different results, then of course you're not serious. So I removed him and I replaced him with somebody that I absolutely believed in. And we had to sign MOU with Way Up, that is the provider of, the website. And so right now I can almost boast that it will take you maybe 1 week or even less to get a transcript. I can boast of that because I've tested that and it's already working. We are still working. We haven't reached our goal yet, but we are still working. But at least for now, this is what we are getting in terms of transcript. For security, a lot of those giant trees that have been there for more than 20, 30, 40 years ago, we've tried to remove most of them so that we can have a good, view of the campuses, criminals that were hiding into, behind big trees and all of that. Most of those trees have been felled, and then we are planting younger ones so that the university, yes, will still have these windbreakers, but at least the very old and big trees are all down. So the university is getting a very beautiful look, I hope, in the very shortest period, that the landscaping will be that which will be very, very inviting. The main gate, just like somebody had earlier on said, is taking a wonderful look. We are putting the sign, the first time the sign is coming on, which wasn't there for quite some time. So we are doing that. In terms of security also, because I also believe that these children are our children and they must be secured. We've also, in spite of COVID, in spite of the lockdown, we've secured more security men. And this again is going to be on our IGR, but we are hoping that we'll be able to generate more and be able to meet with our responsibilities. So the students can at least now feel some sign of relief that they have, fairly secure, because the surveillance is quite high now. We are discussing with a contractor to see how we can get CCTVs. But again, this is capital intensive, which we don't have for now. At this point, I want to also discuss the fact that, the e-learning, because I know that is going to come on, that what are we doing? This is the normal that we're probably going to have for some time to come. Nobody knows where COVID is taking us to, and nobody was giving a notice that COVID was going to come. So University of Benin will not shy to say that we're not quite ready, or we are not quite ready for the e-learning platform. Distance learning has been on the tutoring level for over 12 years. So we have focused on that to see how we can make our distant learning to run, so that we can leverage on that platform and then begin to look at e-learning. We have asked our ICT to train so that they can be able to cascade that to our lecturers who are used to the face-to-face mode of teaching, and and the students also learning, because we believe and we know it's the reality of time that the blended learning is probably the direction to go. So those ones, the ICT had trained themselves in trying to open up the platform for e-learning and e-teaching. Unfortunately, when I wrote to ASU to grant permission so that our staff members can now be trained on the mechanism of the e-learning and e-teaching, I was denied. But again, this is a national issue, so it's not peculiar to University of Benin. And so we are hoping that when ASU and the federal government come into some level of agreement, that we'll be able to educate and train lecturers so that they can really embrace e-learning. We, however, did fly a kite a little bit. The entrepreneurial department wanted to teach this universal program to our students. Penultimate year students always take a CED, we call it, entrepreneurial education. So all I kept hearing was, Vice Chancellor Ma, please, you need to help us with data. I said to them, I don't have that kind of resources to be able to pay, for data for students. So, and then of course, those who don't have Android and other phones that can help them access, the e-learning platform, is a major, major, major constraint for us. And also, do we have the studios? So what I'm trying to say in essence is that, yes, the e-learning we are working on, but right now we are not there because we don't have the mechanisms, we don't have the procedures on ground. And so we cannot really embrace e-learning for now. So we are hoping that even if schools resume now, that we would adhere to the protocol that we need, and then therefore maybe that will be able to help reduce the ravages on the educational system with the COVID-19. I also have a hotline that is on for 24/7, and that's I named See Something, Say Something. The reason for this is I want to create a relationship between the Vice Chancellor and the student, so that these education corruption that is all over the place, that maybe we'll be able to stand or eradicate it through that. So encouraging them to say whatever they see, and then giving them the guarantee that I will fight for them as a mother and as the Vice Chancellor. And so I'm hoping that the students, right now, even as they are home, when they have questions, they still call these lines, and we also still respond to them. We have one on WhatsApp, and then we have one on just the line that they can call. So that is what we have done in trying to see how we secure our students, that they have, at least better assurance that we will keep them humanly possible, as secured as possible. We've also tried to reach out to our neighboring communities to see how we can identify areas where our students stay, so that they not just see the students as their tenants, but the fact that somebody actually cares about them, and then we're worried about their welfare, and we're going to monitor that to the letter. And so we have done that also. And so that is where we are. And then I also want to quickly talk about the 50 years anniversary. Anyone who has attained 50 years, it's a milestone, and it shouldn't be taken for granted. And so what this management decided is that we're going to celebrate, and truly, truly celebrate, and paint the city red, as they say. But unfortunately for us, pandemic came in. And so right now, we did a quick survey as to some of our friends, some stakeholders, and asked what they're feeling and they're thinking about, are still carrying on with the 50th anniversary for this year. And I think the consensus is pointing towards the fact that we must postpone till next year. And hopefully that COVID-19 would have given us a little bit of a breather, so that we can truly, truly celebrate our 50 years. Again, like I said, just to reemphasize, 50 years Golden Jubilee celebration should be celebrated with everything that we have. So that is where we are with that. But I have asked the committees that were set up, we are writing books, we are interviewing all those who saw to the birth of the university, those who are still around, the old vice chancellors, my mentor, Professor Grisalele Williams, and all of these persons. So we want to see how we can have, books written out of the 50 years, interviews, playlets, and all of that. So all those committees are still working. But however, it will appear it will not be realistic to bring that kind of celebration to this year, because of course the pandemic, that has robbed us of 2020. So that is where we are now in a nutshell. I have just told you my 275th day in office, what we have done so far. So distinguished ladies and gentlemen, that is my address, and thank you very, very much for listening. Thank you.
Thank you, VC.
Thank you very much, Madam Vice Chancellor. Within 275 days, you have done so much. President Ubaana, Dr. Kingsley Momodu, you have heard it all.
Yes.
So all is now in your court.
Yeah.
You make the first comment, then you direct your other members and representatives to make their own comments too. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you very much, Madam Vice Chancellor, for your leadership. I am personally very, very excited. Like I said before, this is novel, and this is amazing. This is the road that I think we all want to travel, you know. I am excited, the accountability. It's a beautiful story, and I hope it's not a dream. So I will not be the first, okay? I will make my comments after now, okay? So I will go to the next person on my list, who is our Vice President, Alex Romo, for his comments. He listened to our Vice Chancellor, and I'm sure he has his comments, he has his suggestions. Mr. Alex.
Yeah. Good afternoon, Madam Vice Chancellor.
Good afternoon again. How are you?
My name is Alex Imwetia Elmo.
Wow, my namesake.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I have to rub that in, right? Yes, and I'm just as President Mowry just told you, I'm the Vice President of Ubaana. I would like to thank you for giving us this opportunity. I mean, this is a perfect platform, you know, for us to share ideas, for you to, you know, inform us as to the goings on. In fact, that's strictly accountability, right? And we really appreciate the fact that you chose to, have this Zoom meeting, that's the virtual meeting, in order to, like, you know, share information with us. With that, I tell you, thank you so much, right? And I would also like to thank Dr. Stephen Obeki. You know, he's always in touch with us. You know, he's really been in contact with us all the time. So the first issue, right, because prior to the meeting, I kind of talked about a few issues that we would like to address. But however, you've addressed both issues. But based on the fact that I had, you know, thought about it much earlier, right? I would like to bring up the first issue, right? That's about, there has been a long-standing issue with the alumni, you know, with alumni getting their transcripts in a timely manner. And the current system, you know, seems fraught with delays, and oftentimes students are forced to give up, you know, the whole process, you know, of trying to retrieve their transcript. So is Uniben actually, you know, I mean, what is Uniben doing in order to make the transcript retrieval process easier and more seamless? Because as the Vice President of Ubaana, I've received numerous phone calls. I mean, for the past 2 years or more, I've been receiving phone calls from Uniben students. It's all about the issue of transcripts. So I just want to know, you know, try to share it with our, because we also have a few members that just called in, right? You know, prior to when you had addressed us. So if you could kindly just, you know, let us know exactly what Uniben is doing with regards to the issue of transcripts. Thank you, Madam.
Okay, so just quickly here, like I said, I removed the head that was there and brought in a new person, and I set up a committee comprising of that was chaired by the Deputy Vice Chancellor, Academics Professor Izeko. We brought in the ICT chair, director, Professor Obefun, and then of course, we now brought in those courier services on campus. We also discussed with the providers in terms of, you know, students, data managers. So we brought them in and actually ironed out. In fact, we had to discontinue the factor who was in charge of transmitting these transcripts to our students. Because what we indeed discovered was that he had taken money from over, because my DVC is around here, over 2,000 students, and did not actually transmit those transcripts to them. So he was ripping off the children and also giving us terrible names that we will collect transcript and not transmit to the students. So we have immediately asked him to discontinue. So we have sacked him, to use the right word. And so right now, like I said, a few of these students or candidates in diaspora had reached me. Even I remember one, Mr. Aluku also reached me last week. And when he actually complained that it's taking so long, I challenged him and I said, look, I am on ground. Come and see me on Monday. Yeah, if you go back there and by Tuesday, Wednesday, your transcript is not up, and then of course you can say whatever. He actually came back, and I would like to send that response to the deputy chair, that, oh, you know, they were carrying the same story that you never get a transcript in University of Benin, you don't waste your time and all of that. And I said, hey, give us another opportunity. That was what was there. But I have said it, and you can hold me to my words, that in less than a week, you get a transcript now, unless in cases where we have issues reaching the faculties. And I have even said to them that if there is a case, you know, in that category where we cannot reach the faculty because of the lockdown, that I will personally ask the dean to produce that result. That is how passionate I am with making sure that we write this narrative. So I am saying this now so you can hold me to my words, that once you ask for your transcript now, it is seamless and we send it to you immediately. We have jacked up a little bit in terms of costs to the students, because now we are handling everything ourselves with sourcing for it, sending it, and I think jacked up by maybe about 2,000 or so. You know, 2,000, okay. So that's why I said you can hold me to my word that it has changed drastically, dramatically, you know, because this person, even right now, we are planning to take him to court for taking those 200 cases which he had collected money from, and yet he didn't transmit their results, the transcript to the students. And some of these students may have lost the opportunities. And so that is how far we have gone with this administration. And I want to reemphasize that you hold me to my word today.
Thank you very much, Madam Vice Chancellor. So, so as not to take too much time, I'll just address the next question. It has to do with, in July last year, on behalf of Ubaana, and in my capacity as the Vice President, we commissioned the newly renovated reading rooms, which was, the renovation was done on behalf of Ubaana. And, having commissioned the new renovated reading rooms and common rooms at Ubaana and Ekara campuses, that is at Ubaana, that's Hall 1, Hall 2, Hall 3, and Hall 4. And then during the commissioning, a number of students had complained about the dilapidated state of the halls of residence. I would like to know, Madam Vice Chancellor, how does the university administration plan to address this issue with regards to the state of the halls of residence?
Okay, okay. I thought I did mention that we on our own had done palliative measures before the state government came to our rescue. And if you have been following, with all due respect, the social media, I think we've all been getting is praise that the hostels are looking so, and I think we have pictures, that have been going around. So maybe we've done a lot. We may not have reached the 100% zenith that we need to get to, but I can tell you that more than 70% of those hostels are looking so much better. Most of them are repainted. The rooms are now, wardrobes redone. Like I said, the re-roofing of Hall 4, especially, that was notorious. And so we have all of that. We've put that all in place. And so the place is looking much habitable. For some of those, like the one that is under the PPP Keystone, I have just written to the bank that for over 12 years that it has been in existence, they have not come to touch or renovate or whatever. And I think the bank took it seriously. So 2 weeks ago, they came they came to inspect the place. We are hoping that before the students are called to campus, that they would fix the Keystone Hostel. But all other hostels 1 to 6, 7, have been fixed by the state government. I mean, it's not perfect, like I said, we've not reached 100%, but I am sure that we'll probably be doing well, about 70% ready for students.
Thank you, Madam Vice Chancellor, for giving us, I mean, a detailed explanation as to, with regards to the both issues that I raised. So, just as President Momodo has said, we would continue to do our best for Uniben. And, you know, our main mantra is, you know, having to understand the fact that we all went through Uniben and all that. We're going to give back. It's the issue of give back to Ubaana, to Uniben, right? So with this, I tell you, thank you once again, Madam Vice Chancellor, and I'm wishing you success in all your endeavors. Thank you very much, Madam.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Madam Vice Chancellor, and thank you very much, Vice President Alex Oromo, for your remarks, questions, and suggestions. So I will go over to Mr. Michael Egribelo for his comments and remarks, suggestions. Michael, thank you.
Thank you, President Kingsley. It's a pleasure actually being on this forum. I did not think that we will come to this, but it's very commendable that Madam VC is calling for the diaspora to have an input into our alma mater. I just want to commend you for the wonderful list of things that you've been able to do in less than a year, yes. Especially when you consider the COVID issues, the COVID-19 issues, and how it destabilized all of us. In fact, you covered everything on my list. So I was wondering if you were reading my mind, you know, before this meeting. And I know that these items that you have mentioned are going to reverberate with members of our community here. I'm the outgoing chair for the California branch because I'm now in Houston. And it's been a real pleasure for me to want to give back to the organization. So instead of dwelling on the problems which you have identified, I want to move to talk about some ideas. There might not be ideas that we completely crystallize here. There will be things that you want to take forward. One of the things that many of these institutions have are advocates who have gone out there and are established, who have been able to achieve a lot for themselves, you know. Can we leverage some of these people? In the days past, when we were students, we overlooked things like comedy, we overlooked things like drama. We were thinking of only things like doctor, lawyer, engineer, and things like that. But you will find that if you look in Nigeria today, you will find that we have an industry that is really growing right now. We have the comedy industry, we have Nollywood, and we have a lot of our alma mater in those areas, and they are doing big things, you know. So can we leverage the outreach of those people, right? I remember when I celebrated my 50th birthday a couple of years ago, about 3 years ago, I actually had Basketmouth MC my event. And initially, he was doing Shakara. And I told him, I said, you went to Uniben. It's the culture that we left there that trained you. Everybody that passes through Uniben has one very strong skill that you can attest anywhere you go. We all have very strong social skills, you know. So can we leverage the social skills of our Uniben folks? Okay, corporate sponsorship, for instance. You have mentioned that we have about 45,000 students in University of Benin, and it's a bit of a challenge for you to want to begin to build distance learning. One of the problems we have in Nigeria is that we only think that we can do everything in one go. But the point is that for you to get somewhere, you have to go in stages. That means in blocks. First and foremost, you will have students in this community that already, whatever programs you put in place for e-learning, they might be able to tap onto that. I don't know what the percentage might be. It might be 5%, it might be 10%, it might be 15%. That's a good start to at least know people who have that capacity. The next one is to create the consciousness in the mind of the lecturers, the professors, the HODs that, hey, as you are building content for classes, have in mind that we want to go to e-learning. We want to be able to create that. So you want to start step by step for them to create curriculum that can be accessed by people who have access to e-learning. It doesn't mean that you are going to ostracize those who do not have access. You can leverage corporate sponsorship, for instance, if you come up with a plan. So what is the plan? I have 45,000 people. Out of the 45,000, 5,000 already can afford it and they can provide. So I need to now provide for 40,000, for instance. How much is a tablet? Some of them go for as little as $70 right now. You can even get $50 ones. If you convert that to Naira, at least you have an idea of how much Naira. If it is 40,000 you need, you multiply that, you have a number. Then the next question would be, how many corporate organizations can sponsor to this level?
Okay.
You can also now begin to look for your good students and say, okay, maybe XY Bank can sponsor 20 for the best students in this and that and that and that. You can have a 5-year plan to be able to cover up a program that is continuous and covers that set of students and things like that. So I'm just trying to give ideas about how to drop, how to get there. You cannot get there overnight, but you have to do, step by step. Another one is research partnerships. Okay, if you come to a place like California, where I lived for a long time, California is mostly farming, but most of the money that comes out of California is intellectual work, intellectual property, from research, from the Bay Area. Okay, how much research are we doing? Are we working with industry to discover solutions? If our professors, brilliant people who go out there and can establish themselves as the most learned community in United States of America, and I'm Canadian, the same thing in Canada, we are the most learned in those places. How come we are not able to leverage that, how do I call it, asset into the corporate world and then bring back to the University of Benin? Are there any restrictions from you raising money for yourself through intellectual property that you develop from the University of Benin? I don't think that there will be restrictions for you to be able to do that. So that's one thing. I've heard of all the programs that you are putting in place. Every program you put in place, there must be a continuity concept component behind it. Because one of the reasons why we've not made progress with our country, with our institutions, is a lot of times we only think putting it in place, put a building in place, put a house in place, and then we leave it and let it run down to the bottom before it's done. And then we're now thinking of replacing, forgetting that when we maintain those structures from time to time, then we give them longevity. So I want to add that any program that you are looking at, Madam VC, please always at the end ask yourself, what have I done to make sure that this is continuous? Okay. I know that you've talked about transcripts. I'm going to close on transcripts so that I don't take the whole time. Personally, I applied to do my doctorate 3 years ago. And one of the conditions they gave me was for me to go and get my transcript from the University of Benin. Immediately they told me that, I started crying. I said, hey, I don't know how I'm going to do this, because the first time I got transcript from Uniben was about 20-something years ago, and it was painful. It took almost 1 year to get my transcripts. So I still had that at the back of my mind. So you know what I did? I wrote a very powerful letter to the institution, and I said, hey, I graduated almost 30 years ago. The education for what I want to study right now is not related to my first degree. What do you need my first degree transcripts for? And then I went on to tell them I've schooled in North America. My transcripts, I got them overnight. Here is what I want to do. If you still want my undergraduate transcripts, then it means that you people are robots and you are not thinking. Immediately they said, hey, that they were going to take this up. They went to their board, they had a discussion, and within a week, I got a note that obviously I'm a distinguished student. They are no longer interested in my first degree transcripts. And that was how I got out of it. I have about a year to go in my studies. So that's the kind of pain that we go through to get transcripts. Do you know that transcripts can actually be a source of revenue for the university?
No, definitely.
Yes. So this is how you do it. First and foremost, you don't look at people, you set up systems. It is systems that you set up, and people run systems. It is the systems that get you the result. And when people circumvent your systems, it will be very glaring. And immediately you can hold them to ransom. We have a lot of opportunity to use the internet for people to go and pay for the transcripts to be processed, and for them to see very clearly. If you have alliances with couriers like you were talking about, for us who are in the diaspora, it will not be local couriers. You'll be talking about UPS, DHL, and the likes of them. We can pay. It means nothing to us. $100 is nothing to us in terms of paying for that, as long as we are getting the service. So you quantify how much it costs for you to get your transcripts. I'm talking about locally. If the cost is 2,000 naira, 5,000 naira, convert it to dollars. Tell us that that is the processing fee. Your processing fee is this. You know that to get to America, UK, this, that, let's assume that the average cost is $70 or $80, right? You put that in there. Say, okay, to process it through blah, 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 this is for postage. Leave one small column there for donations, right? Leave one small column there for donations. And then people can donate, okay? And then put another place there for feedback. Are you happy with our service? Blah, 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 blah. At the bottom there again, you can say, hey, the challenge is not over. We're looking at introducing other things that you might be, whatever, you know. If there's any way you can still support us for that, please go ahead. There is nobody who gets good service that will not drop something. Let me tell you about a culture that took me a while to get used to in America. The culture was the culture of giving tips. Okay? In America today, if you go into a bar or a restaurant and you eat, you are expected to give tips. It is natural, it is not bribe. Okay, you will see them, they will even put it in the menu, 15%, 20%, 25%, 30%. You check which one, and then they take the money directly from. And a lot of times when we give in terms of those tips, we normally give based on the quality of service that we receive. If you don't give a tip, the person goes back thinking, oh my God, I must have done something really, really wrong. That is why this client did not give me tips. You know, so I'll stop there so that I don't take up the whole time, but I would just want to commend you for all the work that you're doing. And I know that you are going to go places because of the aggression with which you have gone into the office, and within 200 and something days, you have been able to align all these things and you're going after it. Rest assured that we know that it is difficult to do things in Nigeria, but gradually we will get there together. Thank you, Madam
Thank
VC.
you so much. I'm so excited about all your contributions, and we will take them. I promise you. My Deputy Vice Chancellor, my right-hand man, is here taking notes too, so we'll run with all of this. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you very much, Madam Vice Chancellor. Thank you very much, Mr. Bello, for your remarks and suggestions. That was very incisive. I would like to call on Mr. Solomon Atapokai. Is Solomon on the call? Okay, I'll go to Professor Chibo.
I'm on the call, yeah.
Oh, okay, good. Solomon, yeah, go ahead, Solomon, yeah. Solomon, thank you.
Okay, thank you, Mr. President.
And Solomon,
thank you very much.
Is our treasurer. Solomon is the Ubaana treasurer. Yeah.
Okay.
Solomon, go ahead, please.
All right. Thank you very much, Mr. President. Thank you, Madam VC and the team from Uniben. We are all pleased with the opportunity to interact with you and discuss the opportunities for us to support Ubaana and also get a one-on-one understanding of the challenges. Well, you've covered some of the fundamentals, and we thank you for your accomplishments to date. And we'll be very pleased to support you as much as possible. Something we would like to get from you is for us to understand how best we can support you. Because while you do have needs, sometimes the problem is with articulating the needs in a way that we can support you directly or help you to access some funding. An example will be looking at the e-learning you just mentioned. What you could do for us to be able to help you better will be for you to define exactly what are the needs. You know, quantify for us what you need to enable you establish e-learning in terms of the cost, and also a business plan of how you will implement it, and also what are the benefits of the e-learning program to the university community, to the students. And then you also tell us how we can measure the success at the end of the day. Sometimes if you're able to articulate such a plan for us, it will encourage us to also use our own network to see if we can access funding on your behalf. Because we understand funding is a requirement, but sometimes the problem I find is that there are a lot of sources of funds available globally to support a university like University of Benin. You are a non-profit organization.
Yeah.
You have desirable objectives. If you can articulate your needs properly, we'll be pleased to help support you in getting funding for these.
Okay.
So I want to say thank you for your efforts so far, and we'll be very pleased to support you and in the development of the university. Once again, thank you on behalf of Ubaana.
Thank you so much. We're going to do just that, articulate and send to you, so that you can help assist us. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Madam Visi, are you done? Madam Visi, are you finished? Okay. Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Solomon, for your remarks. Before I go to Professor Chigo, I'll call upon Mr. Owen Ogufere from Chicago. Owen, please.
Thank you, President Mamadou. Madam VC, let me start by saying I'm really impressed with your level of availability and the access that are given to us today. It's very refreshing. And then my question is, I want to be a little forward looking, right? So my question is, when you think about your tenure, right, what would you want your legacy to be when your tenure is over and people talk about your tenure? What would you want people to remember from your achievements? And then, second part of the question is, what do you think your biggest challenges to achieving that legacy is, and how can we as alumni of Uniben, right, as Ubaana, help?
Okay. So the first, which of course, at the end of my tenure, I hope that I would have been able to place University of Benin as one of the first-class institutions of higher learning, not only in Nigeria, possibly globally. That is probably ambitious, but I am sure by the time we do that at the national level, we would cascade that to the other countries. I also want to be able to create an institution where we will have, it will be a hub for digital technology, because I believe and I think that that is the direction. The third thing I want to also do is to be able to have graduates that are progressive and of course of international, within international space, so that they are marketable, not just in terms of local content, but internationally we'll have marketable students. So to recap that I would have a world-class institution. I would have students that are digitally, technologically skilled and knowledgeable, as well as being progressive and marketable. So that is the first part. Now, when it comes to the major challenge that of course, the major one, and that is just among the others, is funding. We have issues with funding. Again, just like the last speaker said, maybe when one better articulates which areas. But let me just quickly, for instance, tell you where we are today. The federal government gives us as overhead for 2020, 79 million naira. Now, if you break that down for electricity supply, what we get quarterly is 300,000 naira. Average electricity consumption when the students are on ground is 28 million naira monthly. And that is when even electricity was very epileptic. And now that we have a dedicated line, like I said earlier on, we are looking that this is probably going to hit about 40, 45 million a month. And then if you take that pari passu with what the government gives to us a year, it comes to 1.2 million. Now, where does all this come from? This has to come from IGR. Remember that the IGR, 90% of our IGR comes from students' charges. Students who are in social sciences today pay 17,000 naira per month, per year. Then those who are in medicine pay 47,000 naira per year. Now, if that is going to account for 90%, we are virtually crawling and begging for funds to even run the basic necessities of the university, your day-to-day running of the institution. So that is where we are. And so we can't charge students because these are charges and not fees. And like I have always argued, for those who have seen me one-on-one with the Honorable Minister on TV, I have always said that what goes in determines the quality of what comes out. So you do not expect us to get students of good quality when the infrastructure, when the human capacity development, when the morale and all of this are low, because we don't have money to drive the system. So that again is, and then I think the last one, how can you help? And like I just said, the last speaker has actually given like a direction. So we'll sit down, articulate areas where Ubaana can come to assist us. But I can tell you that if some of you recall, and I don't know when some of you graduated, but I've spoken to some who graduated 1980, 1970 something, and you still think that the auditorium, for instance, just the auditorium now, that you actually sat, down to take lectures at that time, for some of those who took lectures there, those seats are still there after 40 years. The same thing with the lecture theaters, the same thing with the faculties. The faculty buildings have not gotten any facelift. And so, we have, I'm not saying here that these are issues that we cannot surmount. Of course we will. But again, to take a lead from the last speaker, the one but last speaker, that this will have to be done gradually. And I'm sure we'll get there. But, again, it means every hand must be on deck. We must synergize and see how we can move this institution forward. So thank you very much. And I hope I've been able to answer you, Mr. Owen.
Yes, Madam Chancellor. I think that's a great response. And if I can just add to that very quickly, right? So just to recap, right, your legacy, what you're shooting to achieve during your tenure is to make Uniben #1 in the country, in Africa, and eventually a force for education in the world. Make sure that the students are digitally and technologically enabled, and make sure that they are also progressive. I would say the leadership of President Mamadu, these are some of the things that we talk about as members of Ubaana. I believe there's a committee within Ubaana that's looking for a way to, specifically around digitally enabled, right? Artificial intelligence and some of the new technologies, right? Looking for a way to leverage our relationships here to help drive some of that in Uniben. And when it comes to progressive students, I believe America is one of the most progressive countries in the world, and maybe a platform where the students have a level of exposure to us here can be created, right? When it comes to funding, though, specifically, right, most of the top universities in the world, right, have endowment funds and other funding that comes from their alumni association, right? All the alums donate millions of dollars, right, to these universities, and that's where they get a significant amount of their funding, right? And this is just me now, my perspective is I believe that there has to be some flexibility, right, in the way that you relate to us. I think if the University of Benin under your leadership can create flexibility to engage us directly, right, I'm sure we can put down structures to help students with scholarships, help drive more projects, and help you achieve your objectives. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Owen Ogufe, for your remarks, contributions, and positions. Thank you. So at this time, before I call on the professor, let me call on Mrs. Obi Monege, who is our Secretary General. Obi. Obi? Obi? Okay, Professor Paulinus Chigo. Can I have your attention, sir?
Sure. Thank you, Dr. Momodu, and thank you, Madam Vice Chancellor,
Thank you,
for
sir.
the immediate attention you've given to infrastructural challenges at Uniben. My question, there are two parts to my question. Hello?
Yes, we're hearing you.
Okay. So as you previously mentioned, federal allocation for research and education is inadequate.
Yes.
Nevertheless, some lecturers are able to receive research funds and are able to use the funds to conduct their research.
Mm-hmm.
What are some of the challenges faced by Uniben Technology Transfer Office with regard to fostering entrepreneurship and helping lecturers to utilize their research products to enhance the quality of life of the local community? That's one. The other part has to do with securing research funds. And there are a number of opportunities to secure funds from international organizations and agencies. How is Uniben set up to quickly respond to requests for proposals and to ensure that proposals that are submitted are highly competitive and that successful the research will be conducted according to what it was proposed? In other words, that goals will be accomplished.
Okay. Yes. Let me start first from the second and then build to the first one. Now, again, like one of us said that we should build structures and not individuals, but sometimes you have to have individuals with the capability and capacity to drive the, those areas. Now, we have fully and almost relied on TED Fund, which of course is the federal government intervention for driving research. And most times, what happens is that what is given in most cases can't even take those research to a logical finish or end. And so what you find is that most lecturers who start research work either because they don't have enough funds to conclude, will truncate and stop midway. I mean, that is one reason. And so, but what I did since again I came on was to leverage on, I don't know how many of you know Professor Friday Okunofua, who has done a lot in terms of research and have brought CERI, Center for Excellence for Reproductive Health to the university, has also just now brought Center for Sustainable Development and Entrepreneurship. So he's very good. So for instance, last year, when TEDFund called for research proposals, University of Benin submitted one proposal. And the person was lucky. So it's a case of, well, you don't have, this is the only one, so we'll take that. And so we got that. And that was about 36 million that the individual got. Whereas I was in Abuja and I could, a university like Sokoto, for instance, I think got over 4 billion. And so this year, as soon as before the COVID, they had asked for research grants, research proposals. And so I talked to Professor Okunofua, whom I made the director of research development and management. and then some other professors who had been sent out to actually anchor and select proposals. As I speak to you now, we have submitted 136 proposals from the one that was submitted last year. So I am not saying all 136 will probably pass, but 100, maybe a sizable number from that would actually go through. So that is one way that we are trying to see how we can at least bring some visibility to our staff members who before now would quickly and easily complain that they really don't have the means or they were not properly informed. So this time around, I actually went on information and enlightenment drive, and I was insisting and calling all faculties that it was mandatory that your faculty, the dean, must submit at least 10 proposals for the, and so we found a lot of persons who had given up with the frustration of any way you write and you don't get anything. But this time around, it's a little bit different. I have also said to him that he must begin to help us with especially with also the director of linkages, begin to look just beyond TEPFON, because TEPFON eventually, is probably going to be overstretched by the number of universities springing up every day. And so they may not be able to drive research, which is one of the major thrusts of setting up a university. So to look beyond the shores of Nigeria and see if there are opportunities. And the last time I spoke with Professor Enatu, who is the director of linkages and exchange programs, that he's beginning to at least show some response from individual bodies, organizations that may actually be willing to partner with us in terms of research development. Now, in terms of the output from we have not really done, and I hate to say this, but that is the truth, we've not really done well. There was one time in the university where we had the culture of displaying some of this research work and then finding how we can patent them and all of that stuff. But a lot of times, and again, I hate to say whether I have the solution to this, but I hope that we'll be able to go just beyond rhetoric and then start delivering. Some of these fantastic ideas just died. Either the products that were developed were kept in the warehouse and never got out of that, or even patenting became a problem. I'll tell you of recent, and I'm sure you heard that, where we developed ventilators here in the University of Benin. The frustration of even getting our people, they are heading to Abuja tomorrow on Monday to go and defend. We've had all kinds of, bodies come in. We've had all kinds of meetings. We've signed all kinds of MOUs, hoping that this will get to some level of fruitfulness. Frustration, nowhere. But again, like I said, it is not just for us to now think that things cannot change. We are hoping that things will change, and that the moment we begin to get ourselves visible and on the map of the world, that people will begin to trust us and begin to invest in us. And then again, accountability, the shot that we hold on to transparency and accountability, and I'm sure we'll get there and get there very soon, so that our research outputs can be a pride of our alumni, individuals. So I hope I've been able to throw some light there. Again, like I said, there are frustrations, obstacles here and there, but we hope that as time goes on, that we'll get better at doing this. And then with the pilots that we have now, who are very renowned, that they should be able to refocus most of us, almost the 1,879 academic staff that we have. So we should be able to orientate our research outputs and development. Thank you, Professor, and I hope I've been able to answer and throw some light to your questions and concerns.
Yes, thank you very much. If I may follow up with another question, and this one specifically with regard to the infrastructure that you have put in place or you plan to put in place for actually managing funds from research grants.
What are those? Again, like I said, a lot of this, now we're beginning to encourage that we have multidisciplinary approach to research grant. In the past, it was most times solo. And so the individuals actually don't see the need for them to be accountable to the institution, because the argument, which of course is very parochial, to say that, well, you got it on your own platform, so why? But now that we have a strong team, so I am actually saying that a lot of these research proposals should be driven through these pilots that we think will be better, at placing us in terms of even the basic requirements. We have also asked that they should try to train the trainers, because 2 of them were sent to the UK last year, just before I came on board, to be trained on research methodology, research approach, and research proposal writing. So we're hoping that once we centralize this, using Professor Okonofa and the others, that we'll be able to create some credibility, because I think what has happened in the past, and I hate to say this, but I think, because I've been in this system before I stepped out a little bit, is that once you don't give proper accountability and you're not transparent, you lose I'd like to look for the right word here. The trust from some of these bodies. And so some of them pulled out and never, once it's coming from University of Benin. But so now that we want to see how the university will be involved in whatever research proposal that you are writing, we want these persons to titulate you and then send them out, so that we can build our trust again. We can build that we can be held accountable, we can be more transparent, we can be more reliable, and then give a full account of the research work. I think we'll begin to get more and more. It's just for people to test the water and see how it is now, and then they begin to help us. So that is what I think would help the situation, at least for now, and then we'll build on this.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Yeah, thank you very much, Professor Chigo. Are you done?
Yes, I'm done. Thank you very much, Madam.
Good, yeah. Thank you very much, Prof, for your remarks. So I'll quickly go to Ms. Obi Moneke. It appeared we didn't hear the first time. Obi?
Is she here?
Obi?
Lost her again.
I've lost you again, Mrs. Moneke. Okay. So I'll go to Dr. Hilda Dunku for our comments and remarks. Hilda?
Yes, I'm here. Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you, Madam VC.
Thank you.
I'm amazed at how much you've accomplished in 275 days. I just can't wait to see what you're going to accomplish in the next few years as you try to turn Uniben to Unibest.
Thank you.
So I have 2 questions. The first question is, when you spoke, you mentioned something about difficulties between getting approval from ASU and the federal government. Do you see a role that the alumni associations can play, as advocates in getting this approval? Is there something that we can do? And then my second question, which was on research, Dr. Chibu spoke a lot about that, and you did as well. I think that one of the things that a lot of researchers internationally outside Africa are looking for is data. Is there perhaps any way that Uniben can become a data center, like collecting data that researchers can use? It could be on anything, from the local population. Being a data center, data bank can put Uniben in a good position to get grants. So I think that could be another idea that you probably want to look at.
Okay. And yes, so the second one, of course, is suggest. So yes, we'll look
the suggestion, yeah.
But yes, the first one is now ASU's case is almost becoming a problem, a national problem, because and that was why I was quick to say that it is not a local issue. If it is a local issue, then of course others can probably weigh in and probably call ASU to order or ask them to see reason Well, this is a national issue. I have even called and interacted with them to say, look, once this is over with, I want you to first of all think about Uniben first before thinking about ASU. Because if you're not staff of the University of Benin, you will not be a member of ASU. And like you always know, there are rats among them, you know, even when, I don't know what other was to use really, but even when they say to you, oh, we'll probably turn our faces, somebody from nowhere is going to poll and go straight to national. And then before you hear is the VC University of Benin is trying to break the ranks and files of ASU. So I don't think anyone can do anything for now. But we're praying that since they have started discussion with the federal government, and that's a reason will probably come into play, knowing fully well that the students are the ones actually that are suffering more than any group here. And so reasoning will come into play, and therefore, as soon as they come, we will take this as priority to see how we can quickly pilot them to that level where the face-to-face, again, you know, it's attitudinal thing, and then enlightenment and training, because we are so dogmatic and we're so used to face-to-face already. It's part of us. And so some of us, I hate to say professors with gray hair, never mind my colored mind, you know, are already, you know, they're already fixed. And so it becomes a little bit difficult to get them to this platform. But we are hoping that once ASU blows the whistle and the federal government, they've come to an agreement that we'll be able to get on as fast as possible, which they have assured me anyway, that if they have to work overnight and to get us going, that they will do that as a way of saying, you know, this is not a local thing, it is a national issue. So I hope that I've been able to clear that nothing anyone can really do for now than to just do the seats and weight game that we are all playing. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam VC. I hope that it's quickly resolved, because it's definitely an important aspect, you know, for us to be able to transform Uniben from where it is now to where we want it to be.
Yes, yes. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Hilda, for your remarks. And thank you very much, Madam VC, for your response. At this time, I'll quickly like to call on Dr. Austin Ifedira before I call on Dr. Adu. Dr. Ifedira?
Yeah, I'm here. Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Please.
Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you, Madam VC.
Thank you.
First of all, let me just say I am beyond excited at the opportunity you've given us here to engage with you and your staff on matters that apply to by far the greatest university in the world, which will make even greater, right? So I'd like to thank you for that. And I'd like to say that personally, I'm launching a cheerleading squad for you here in the US. I'll appoint myself as the chairman. And we are going to be here for you, because what you've done in 9 short months is clearly unprecedented, and we want you to be able to replicate that throughout your term. So I just want to say that first.
Thank you.
The great thing about attending University of Benin meetings to me, and I have the privilege of doing a lot of things with University of Benin alum and the school I went to here in the US as well. So I'm able to compare and contrast. The great thing about University of Benin alums is we're never short of ideas, and we're never short of big words to convey those ideas. So I think that a lot of people have said a lot of things. So I'd like to focus on 3 or 4 areas and get your reaction to them, or what you think is best to go about it. I think that the school as a whole, not just, well, education as a whole, does a lot of good work in focusing on, learning and academics and what it takes to deliver that learning in a platform that makes sense and that's accessible to their students and their professors and everybody that interacts with the school. Now, I may be wrong, but in listening to what you've said and what everybody else has said, the real differentiation between, to me, really exceptional institutions and good institutions is the ability to deploy a centralized area and infrastructure that I call the business of academics, right? So there's a business side of this that, frankly, and this is a personal opinion, that I don't think that most academics are trained or have the inclination to want to pursue. So we've talked about this a little bit. You talked about your significant revenue shortfall. I'm not sure how you bridge that gap, but again, we can help with that. But just the idea of setting up an area in the university that sort of, for lack of a better term, the CEO of the business side of the school that drive things like revenue generation. So we talked about RFPs and grants and all of that. There's a process for that. There's systems, there are platforms you put in place to begin to make this almost automatic, right? So there's that. There's the area of research. I'm sure there's some research that's already been done in the school, or a lot of research that's been done in the school that's just sitting on the shelf. And there's a lot more that will be done. It takes a special skill sets to monetize that research and be able to move it from shelf to dollars ringing. And I think the advantage we have in Nigeria, and frankly in other African and developing countries, is that there's a real hunger for research out of Africa. And someone needs to take the lead on that. So it'd be nice if we begin to do that. And then, we talked about resiliency and persistence of these efforts, right? Yeah, and that goes back to how do you build your pipeline? How do you stay on top of your pipeline? And then once you've had all of that, how do you brand that, not just in Nigeria, but internationally, so that when it's like when you think about Coke, when you think about, the soft drink, you think about Coke, right? We have a real opportunity to be able to package all of this in a sellable business format that brands University of Benin as the university of choice for beginning to get at some of the, I wouldn't say intractable. I don't think our issues in Nigeria are intractable. I think with the right plan, you can address them, but some of the difficult to process research teams in the country. So I'll just pause and get your reaction to that. Most people that know me know I have 2 ideas a second, so I have like 2 or 3 more questions. Sorry, Miss.
Okay. So if I get that, I'm just going to put that in 2. First of all, you talked about, some of those crucial research, outputs that are sitting on the shelf that nobody. So again, when I met with the ES of TechCom, I actually had that as a problem, and I said, look, like I said earlier on, that I've been in this system for quite some time before I stepped out, and I know that there are very, very, important research work that are sitting on the shelf that have not been harnessed for one reason or the other. And so I actually asked if we could get a center that we will name Center for Innovation and Development, Research Development, and it was granted. And as I speak to you now, we started getting furniture to drive the center. So, and I have put somebody there that I hope, again, building up a system where we can now get all these individuals who have developed fields and they're sitting on their shelf to come to this center of innovation. And so we can then see how we can showcase that as a university, again, centralizing that instead of leaving it at the individual or the faculty level. So we've done that. It's called Center for Innovation and Research Development. So that is coming on board now. We started getting furniture and the vehicle and all of that stuff. So we should be able to harness all of these research work that are already there. And then in terms of the business one, well, that is probably something that I need to look at if we can really find, one of us who can do that, or even have to have partner from outside to drive that. Because like I always said, what we are taught as academics is to just sell knowledge. And selling knowledge will be maybe looking for developing new programs like robotic education and all of that stuff. Yes, that is about it. But when it comes to other strategies and of marketing and putting the business touch to it, a lot of us, I must say, can't really go that direction. But we would consider that it's a good one that we need to look at to see how we can try to put the business aspect to education and not just like I teased my honorable minister the other time, and I said, now you make us to sell water, you make us to sell bread, you make us that. That is not what we are meant for. Academics are meant to sell knowledge for service. That is what we are meant for, but we'll learn. So I want to thank you, and I've been taking notes of that, and my Deputy Vice Chancellor has also. So maybe we need, because somebody flew that kite when I was in Abuja 2 weeks ago, when he said, how much is our IGR at the very best? I said, well, last year we projected for 6 billion. What we got was 3.2 billion, which of course, after projecting for almost 100%, what you got was 50%. It wasn't just possible to drive the system because we had overshot. And he said to me, how about if you're going to partner with one of the big time revenue drivers in Lagos, what's that, ACES and Diocese and Asia or whatever. And I said, oh, please ask them to come and see me quickly. And let's see the magic wand that they are going to use to generate some of this money. Maybe we are seeing something that we should be selling that we are not selling. And so he hasn't brought his team yet, but I'm hoping that they will come and see how they would double our IGR generation. So thank you so much. But we will definitely look at that and see how we can drive that, so that we look at the other aspects. Yes.
Yeah, thank you very much, Madam Vice Chancellor, and thank you very much, Dr. Federa, for your comments. This, like I said before, this has just been this is just so enjoyable, and I wish it could continue forever. Like all good things,
Yeah.
at some point, yeah. So I will call on, so we're going to go 2-2 now, okay? I want everyone to pass their comments, and, so we're going to listen to 2 at a time, 2 remarks at a time, because I don't think we can afford to go one by one as we was the culture all this time. So I'll call on Dr. Adu and Peter Uyoshoya to make their comments for Madam Bisi to quickly respond so we can wrap this up in a timely manner. Mr. Cooper, sir.
All right. Okay. Hi. Can you guys hear me?
Yes, we can.
All right. Good evening, Madam VC, and thank you so much for joining. Really appreciate it. I watched you on Channels Television a few weeks ago, where you took the Minister for States on Education to task. In fact, it was you guys double teamed him. It was you and the VC for Abuja. It was an interesting observation.
Thank you.
Now I have a quick question. I will call my question the elephant in the room. It might make me uncomfortable. I graduated University of Benin in the 80s. While there, I saw sexual harassment myself. And I do know to date, I believe you actually mentioned something like that in your introduction. Yes. I do know to date is widespread in Nigerian universities. It is not unique to Uniben. So I don't want to put you just on the spot, but you're here, you are a VC, and you're doing wonderful things. And as a student who saw that myself, I know the girl, she was my classmate. We were helpless in doing anything. Now that I have a VC to ask a question, my question is, we know these things exist. What is the university doing, for instance, to protect especially girls against retaliation when they make such allegations?
Well, wonderful, wonderful. You know, when I spoke on this, I said education corruption, which is more, embracing, really. But in the case of sexual harassment, I will tell you, there is a problem, societal problem, which we are not addressing, which I have tried to say, look, this administration will address it, is the fact of these spirit decor that it will seem, it's subtle, but it appears to be there within the lecturers. And so you blow the whistle, we will deal with you. So for one or two students who have come to me, in fact, that was the first thing I confronted as the Vice Chancellor, was a student whose guardian, I think two of them, had even gone to the length of removing the girl's head, Gorimakpa, so that she won't be attractive anymore to the lecturer. And would you believe, even with the man said, oh, now you look very beautiful. So it doesn't matter with hair or without hair. And I said to, what you do for me is I need to get a scapegoat. And I do not care who this person is. They will have to go down. Once we do that with one, a second one, the story will be, this is a woman who is very stubborn, like they told me already. I will not tolerate that in a university where I sit as the Vice Chancellor. And then the second case was a case where the parents even went far as giving the tape to the girl to record, and they came to me. And that the man said she will not graduate until she comes in. And I said, look, bring this tape to me. And this was even a reverend gentleman's daughter. I said, bring this tape to me. I would get the guy out of the system. Again, to use that as a scapegoat. Immediately, the father said to me, oh, this girl will not graduate. I said and I said, take my word for it. All her courses, I would pay, even if it means my personal money, to have them, assessed by other universities, other lecturers, of the same level in other universities. I promise you that. Please go ahead. As I speak to you till today, I've not seen both of them. I called, I reminded, and you will think that I was not crying more than the bereaved. So I'm like, okay, fine. But again, I am hoping that we will find one very bold student who would say, I don't give a damn, this has to stop. And I can assure you, that such person will be shown the way out and possibly in the police net. So that is, and I have said this and I have mentioned this and I've told my people in Senate that these Vice Chancellor would have zero tolerance when it comes to sexual harassment. And I think you rip the students, you maim them for life, and therefore we will not condone it. So that is where we are. Only last week we started writing the do's and don'ts for PG students. Because even at that level where you think they would say, I don't give a damn, I'm too old for anyone to intimidate me, they still will not come out. So we're putting this in a booklet form, sharing it among staff members and students and saying to them, you have the right to confide in the Vice Chancellor and I will give you 100% protection. If I have to call persons to come and examine you on one, it will cost the university, but we will bring some sanity to the system. So I can assure you, my alumnus, that we will do all it takes. And I think, if you ask, you know what it is. Where's my sister Hilda? You know, we don't give a damn. Women, when we are up there, we rock the boats, and I'm going to do that. So thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Yes.
Thank you so much, Madam VC.
Yes.
And at this time, I'll go to Dr. Adu for his comments.
Okay. Thank you, President Mamadou. Yeah, thank you, President Mamadou, and thank you, Madam VC, for granting us this audience to speak with us. We are very grateful to have you, and we're proud to have another female VC after Lily William, who was there during our time. One or two things came up in your discussion, which was very good. You mentioned that you are planning, your hope is to take University of Benin to the highest of all heights and the best university in Nigeria, Africa, and possibly showcase us in the world, which is a very good idea. But from us sitting at the corner, you know, when you sit at the corner, you see things differently. Anytime we look at ratings for Nigerian universities and world universities, we see a lot of private universities in Nigeria topping the old academic universities in Nigeria. And for us who graduated in those days, I left school 87 in medical school. We were some of the top schools in Nigeria. And it's a shame that the newer universities, we can't even see our name until 3 or 4 pages deep inside somewhere. It's a shame. And when you want to take us to the heights, a few questions have to be asked. How are you recruiting the best students to really help you to achieve this goal? How are you recruiting the best faculties to make sure these students are trained so that they can, you know, really present themselves, their research or whatever they do to really take you out there? And this other part of my question would be the environment of learning. How can you learn in a school like Uniben when the environment is not conducive to learning? Security issues, students are unsafe, environment unsafe. People can't even have shower in their hostel before they go to school. No good place to eat. When we went to school, we enjoyed those luxuries and it made school and education easy for us. But in that school right now, most of us cannot really send our children there because it will be a disaster to put people in that department. I'm in University of Florida here. When you get to campus, you see things work. People go to school freely and you are going to focus on your learning. But when you are focused on basic things in school that you can't even overcome, yes, you have taken lights now to about 20 hours a day, electricity, very good, commendable. But what else? Look at the environment where students stay. Look at the hostels. Look at the common rooms. Look at the environment. It's not conducive for learning. So how are you going to recruit these people and really take us up? Look at the private universities, what they are doing. So what are your problems there that you need to solve to really get this thing done right? Please. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Wonderful comment. There is no magic to this. And I want to first of all just say that there is no magic to it. And if you recall when I was briefing you, I said that it's what goes in that comes out. Now, let me use the quick example of the private school. The average fees paid by the students who goes to the private school is probably about 350,000. The most fees that students pay in University of Benin, a public funded university, is 47,000 naira. Now, we need to be able to provide accommodation, good accommodation with that. We need to be able to run the system. We need to. So I'm not saying it's going to be magical, but I am saying that within the available resources, we will clog all levels of leakages. We will clog all levels of wastage so that we are transparent and drive the system. I have said to you, and I think I need to send the pictures of the hostel as they are now to the president so that he can cascade that to other members. We have come 70% or more than that. That again hasn't reduced the load of the number of students in a room in the hostel because we don't have enough. But I have gone and sent proposal to everyone I know who is capable of building a hostel for us to please come to our rescue. That until we have more than 90% of our students on campus, we will first of all not have good grip of their character molding, which is one of the reasons why you have university setting. So we are working on that, but we have done some of that to a larger extent. But again, each room still has to take about 8 students, whereas during your time, it was either a single student or two students in a room. So they have to deal with that. You talked about the quality of the students. Now, I keep saying every day I wake up and I say, just God give me the strength to be everywhere, and it's almost not possible. But I have tried to put in place where the best are taken without compromise.
Okay.
Because everyone now who is on the admission team that I have brought in place, we are told strictly that the day I hear you take 5 naira to change a program or put somebody who is not fit to read medicine, because at a stage, and I'm sure you heard all of that, it was the highest bidder, but it will not happen during my time unless I don't hear about it. So it will be quality students that we need, and those quality students will go in there. For the staff, what we cannot do are those that are already on ground, but we have positive, huge depth in the number of lecturers, academic staff that we have. Right now, we have only 1,896 staff, compared to the non-teaching of almost 4,800 and something, which is an anomaly, really. The reverse should be the case. So what I have done, as soon as I came on board, was to give opportunity to all the first class, the 2-1s, the masters and PhD who are non-teaching to cross seamlessly. We're not going to do anything. We're just going to pilot it to academics, just so that we have in-house and see how we can get. And then the current staff we have about 43% of them are of the professorial cadre. Okay. These ones are on their way out. So what do? We must then look at those younger ones that we can mentor. Okay. And so when, for instance, a lecturer comes to me and say, I need contracts because I have not been able to reproduce myself. The first thing I say to them, and you can verify that from any one of them, is that you are not worth to be in the system. If over the years of being a professor for 15, 20, 30 years, you couldn't replicate yourself, you should be ashamed, and therefore you are not going to get contract here. And that is what I have been doing. And I made sure that the council backed me on this, and I am fully backed by council. So we are doing everything. If you now visit our website, I call deans, first thing on Monday mornings. I have just looked at your page and it is deficient in this and that and that, and I will not take this by Friday. All of that should be up. We are working on visibility, which of course, the first place you call is to look at the webpage of that university, because I ask people to critique our webpage from outside the country so that we can have something similar to those that occur or outside in those other institutions. So I had that and I gave that to the new ICT man, and I said, this is what the critique that I got, and so please work on this. And then also TETFON was very gracious. By Monday, I am meeting with the contractors who want to help us build our website. So we're doing everything within possible means to get the university refocused. Again, like I said, there's nothing that is going to be magical about this. It's going to take a while, it's going to take some time, but we will gradually get there. At least people are beginning to see that it is no longer business as usual. The business has changed. So, and I want to assure you that that is where we are. That is where this management is going to take the University of Benin to. And so that's where we are. So for our programs, we are busy looking at how we can, localize those that we can localize, and of course, bring in new ideas. Because again, like I said, we know that digital technology is the thing now. So we are getting, somebody is coming from, I think it's Howard University, just for ICT to come and help us. And I just said to him, look, you're going to be in the Vice Chancellor's office so that you can help us run the ICT here. So we're doing all we can do within the limited funds and resources available to us, but we would, of course, begin to take this as a point to build on. So I might not be able to get there in 3 years or 5 years time, but I tell you, I would leave a better University of Benin than I met it. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, VC, for your effort, and we're here to support you, and we will be there to see you through. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you
very much. Yeah, thank you very much, Dr. Aju, and thank you very much, Madam VC, for your response to Dr. Adu's remarks. I think we have been able to go through the list of panelists, so I will make the last remarks. My remark really is, well, before I get to my remark, I want to thank Madam VC and to make a request. And the request is that I hope that in 6 months we can have this session again. You know, so I'm applying. So that in 6 months we can come together again and talk like this, encourage each other, and move the conversation forward. Please, Madam Vice Chancellor, in your presentations, in your answers, you have been able to tap into the authentic aspiration of our members. You know, you have checked the boxes, and you know, we are living here more energized. We are living here. You see, the purpose has been achieved. You know, and I'm very thankful to all the participants, to Madam VC for everything. So my remark is this: the biggest treasure the university has would be the knowledge, the collective knowledge of all her ex-students. And I don't know that the university has developed a mechanism for tapping into this huge resource. I mean, University of Benin has ex-students who work in some of the best places in America. They work in Ford, they work in NASA, they work in the best hospitals. They are plastic surgeons, all kinds of big doctors, lawyers, accountants, big people in this country, you know? So is there a mechanism? See, the easy thing is to write a check. That's what we have been doing. Write a check, write a check. No. Is there a mechanism? Can we develop a mechanism where the university is able to tap into the knowledge, the collective knowledge of these people? Because all of us abroad are really victims of brain drain. Can we turn that to drain brain? Can the university begin to tap into our brains, you know, for the good of all? So I'll stop there. I don't want to task Madam VC too much. It's been one hell of an evening. Thank you, Ma, for everything.
Yes. Well, I think we're working on that with Obeki. He's my good right-hand man. Each time I call on him and I'm like, oh, get these people together. Well, let me fly something to you, Chair. And the other day I was just joking with someone and I said, look, beyond the fact that we would source for ideas and curate, you know, on both sides so that we have this synergy that is ongoing. I said, can you believe if we had an offering done by alumni of over 356,000 students since our inception of 100 Naira and maybe $100, that would be the best university in the world.
Yep.
Because I can assure you that that money will be used judiciously to the last penny. But do you know what it is? Just to drop 100 Naira and you drop $100 from your own end. And now don't tell me if you change the dollars, what it will be. But I'm saying 100, you know. If you get that, you know how much that will translate to every, we will be in Harvard. I'm telling you, we will. So yes, Obeki is up and doing the wonderful man. He's getting all these big persons. We are doing a little bit of politicking, even though we are not trained to be politicians. We are doing that, you know, rub their ego once in a while and say, without you, we can't do this, that. So we are doing all of that. And we'll get to you one by one and collectively. So thank you very much, my chair. We were chatting the other time how I said we could do with one of your old dental chair. I don't know what they are called. So that we can put that in our health center. So thank you so much. You have been just wonderful. Wonderful. We put a face to this so that when you see me, and those who are saying like my my alumnus there who said he graduated early 80s. I said, okay, it's not wrinkled. Maybe you guys are eating more hamburger than we here. You know, so everyone is looking so fresh and so, you know, whereas here we have to continue to dye the hair, otherwise it gets so white. Somebody said to me that in the next 5 years, I hope dye will not be able to hold this anymore. It will mass dye, you know. It will be so white that the dye can no longer cover it. But I said to them, well, it's a job that I have taken, and I would perform to the best of my ability, God helping me.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. And thank you very much. Wonderful evening.
Grateful. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Vice Chancellor.
Thank you, Madam VC.
Thank you, Madam VC.
Bye, everyone.
Great job. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Good job.
We enjoyed everything.
Thank you again.
Grateful. Thank you.
The VC is awesome.
Thank you. Great job.
Thank you. Thank you. That was good.
Thank you.
That is super cool.
I see you.
Thank you.
Bye,
Thank you.
everyone.
God bless. You've done well. Thank you very much. Thank you. You have
This
done
is
well.
nice. I hope we will do this in the next time though. It's a very nice initiative.
Dr. Becky, good job. Good job.
Okay.
Good job, Dr. Becky.
Thank you.
Well done.
Thanks.
Good job. Well done.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Greg.
Thank you, guys.
I see you.
Alexo, how you doing? Well done.
David, I see you.
Madam Piaro.
Thank you.
Madam Piaro.
Thank you, everyone. Well done.
Oh, Madam Piaro,
Thank you, Madam Vice Chancellor.
Thank you.
We are very proud of you.
Thank you.
Like extending the meeting, we're not going home.
We are here together.
We don't want to stop.
Where are we going? With COVID, there's nowhere to go.
There's nowhere to go. That's COVID.
I'm tired of staying at home.